The Learn Spanish Live Online Network presents Preterite or Imperfect? That is the question. By Julio Foppoli. Yeah! For the purposes of this presentation, we're going to assume that you've already seen the preterite and imperfect verb forms, and that you're looking now for a practical and simple way to know for certain which one to use in any situation. We will quickly review the forms for you, but after that we're going to focus exclusively on deciding which tense we have to use in any situation. If you still need help conjugating these verbs, this video may not be for you. Here are the endings for the preterite form. First of all, the AR verbs.
Aste, o, amos, asteis, aron.
And now the ER and IR verbs, which are exactly the same in all past tenses.
Iste, yo, imos, isteis, ieron.
And here's an example of a complete verb in all three cases.
AR, comprar. Yo compré. Tú compraste. Usted, él, ella compró. Nosotros compramos. Vosotros comprasteis. Ustedes, ellos compraron. ER, correr. Yo corrí. Tú corriste. Usted, él, ella corrió. Nosotros corrimos. Vosotros corristeis. Ustedes, ellos corrieron. IR, vivir. Yo viví. Tú viviste. Usted, él, ella vivió. Nosotros vivimos. Vosotros vivisteis. Ustedes, ellos vivieron.
And now the imperfect form. Here are the endings for AR verbs.
Aba, abas, aba. Ábamos, abais, aban.
And now the ER and IR verbs, which are identical in all past tenses.
Ia, ias, ia. Íamos, iais, ian.
And here's an example of all three verb types conjugated in full.
AR, comprar. Yo compraba. Tú comprabas. Usted, él, ella compraba. Nosotros comprábamos. Vosotros comprabais. Ustedes, ellos compraban. ER, correr. Yo corría. Tú corrías. Usted, él, ella corría. Nosotros corríamos. Vosotros corríais. Ustedes, ellos corrían. IR, vivir. Yo vivía. Tú vivías. Usted, él, ella vivía. Nosotros vivíamos. Vosotros vivíais. Ustedes, ellos vivían.
So, preterite or imperfect? Well, here's a simple rule to decide whether you need to use the preterite or the imperfect in any situation. And the rule is simple. You need 2 yeses to use the preterite. To get 2 yeses, you need to ask 2 questions. And here's the first question. And it has to do with diaries. From a practical perspective, can you put the event in your diary? For example, yesterday I had some problems at work. Can I put that in my diary? Yes, of course I can. When I was younger, I had problems at work. Could I put that in my diary? No, not really, because you may have to put an entry for several different days, perhaps over several different years. So from a practical perspective, we can't put it in the diary. Here's a couple more examples. Last week I played football with my friends. Can I put this in my diary? Yes, last weekend I played football with my friends. When I was in high school, I used to play football every day. Can I put that in my diary? Again, not really, because you may have to write several entries on several days over several years. So for practical purposes, we can't put that in a diary. So we ask the diary question, and if the answer is no, you must use the imperfect tense. If the answer is yes, hold on! We need 2 yeses to use the preterite, and so far we've only got 1. The second question we need to ask is, was the action finished at the moment we were referring to? For example, yesterday at 5 I was working at the office. Question 1. Can I put that in my diary? Yes. Question 2. Was the action finished? No. So in this case, again we must use the imperfect, because we need 2 yeses for the preterite. Here's another example. Yesterday I left the office at 5 p.m. Can I put that in my diary? Yes. Was the action finished at the moment we're referring to? Yes. In that case, we got 2 yeses, so we can use the preterite. Here's another example. When I was very young, I lived in Barcelona. When I was very young, I have to use the imperfect here. Why? Because I can't put it in my diary. You wouldn't write an entry up in your diary that said, Sunday the 1st of November, I was very young. Now to the second section. I lived in Barcelona. Again, could you put an entry in your diary that said, Thursday the 8th of June, I lived in Barcelona? No. So we're going to have to use the imperfect. Here's a few examples we can string together to really get the hang of this rule. One day, my parents left Barcelona for good. We were all very excited. We really wanted to see the world. We went to England where I learned to read and write in English. It was hard at first, but with the help of my teachers I learned to do that very quickly. 2 weeks ago, while my sister was running in the garden, she fell and broke her arm. Let's look at these line by line and decide whether we're going to use the preterite or imperfect tenses. One day my parents left Barcelona for good. Question 1. Can we put that in the diary? Yes. Question 2. Was the action finished at the moment we're referring to? Yes. 2 yeses. Preterite. Number 2. We were all very excited. Question. Can you put that in the diary? Yes. Was the action complete at the time we're referring to? No, not really. So in this case, we're going to have to use the imperfect. We really wanted to see the world. Question 1. Can you put that in the diary? Yes. Was the action completed at the time we're referring to? Again, not really. It's a continuous action of wanting something. So we have to use the imperfect. We went to England where I learned to read and write in English. Can we put that in the diary? Yes. Was the action finished at the moment we're referring to? Yes. 2 yeses, so we can use the preterite. It was hard at first, but with the help of my teachers I learned to do that very quickly. Can we put them in the diary? Yes. Were these actions completed at the time we're referring to? Yes. In that case, we can use the preterite. And finally, 2 weeks ago, while my sister was running in the garden, she fell and broke her arm. So was running. Can we put that in the diary? Yes, we could say on Tuesday she was running in the garden. Was the action finished, completed, at the time we were talking about? No. So we have to use the imperfect. 2 weeks ago, while my sister was running in the garden, she fell and broke her arm. Can we put that in the diary? Yes. Was the action completed at the time we were referring to? Yes. 2 yeses. Preterite.
Yeah!
Copyright 2009 Learn Spanish Live Online Incorporated. All rights reserved.